Malorele, I'm Koku Ingoa, ko Dominic Tupo. I hail from the islands of Tonga, Bangai Hapai, so Teke Hapai, also Niwa Fa'o, so Teke Niwa. And my dad's from Cook Islands, so Achu in Cook Islands. Yeah, so I was born in Aotearoa, New Zealand, Waitakere, West baby, but bred in Tauranga. So grew up in Tauranga, moved to Auckland for the last 2 years of high school, so finished off at Avondale. At the moment, first year of uni, finished high school last year, and then see wherever uni takes me. I'm hoping to become a teacher. So yeah, studying comms, media, and then become a teacher, do post-grad education. And then yeah.
Malolele ko la tai whakaota ko lele mai me haapai Bangai mo Tatakamotonga I Nuku Aloha. My mom comes from Bangai Haapai, my dad comes from Tatakamotonga in Main Island. I was born in Fiji, spent my childhood in Tonga though, going primary, and then I moved here for intermediate. I went intermediate out in Glen Innes. I've stayed in Glen Innes since then. I went to high school at Barrowden College, did my bachelor's at Auckland Uni in Health Science, finishing my postgrad at the moment in public health, hoping to do my master's and then all the way through to PhD. I'm currently working at the Immunisation Advisory Centre for their Pacific team for COVID response in the Pacific Islands. Yeah, that's me.
Kia ora, Talanoa. My name's Matt, born and raised here in Southside of Tamaki, in Mangele. Mom and dad, Cook Island on both sides, but through my granddad on my mom's side, he comes from Samoa, and then through my grandma's side on dad's family, she comes from Tahiti. So yeah, and then I work in the community with mental well-being, just helping out on site, kind of navigate their feelings and emotions. A lot of group work. But that's basically me. Southside.
Talanoa, my name is Terence Slade, I'm Samoan. My dad is Tai de Whakasawhi Whiau, in Te Atatu. My mum is my mum, she's awesome. But yeah, from Waivasatai and Matautuota. I am a Pasifika advisor for Te Hearinga Hauora, ensuring that the voices of our Pasifika people are being heard in the projects that we're doing with Health Commission. And yeah, just brokering those relationships. I went to Auckland Boys, yes, Auckland Grammar School, but pretty much grew up in West Auckland, out in Te Atatu, and then, but now living in Christchurch, or Te Utahi Christchurch, but still working west.
Yeah, cool. So my name is Pati. My full name is Safati Apa Fipiliai. And yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. That's me. So my mum comes from Faleasi'u, and she also comes from Saleaula. And my dad comes from Vaivaseuts, comes from Mota'a. That's where he's from, yeah. So I went to school in a lot of different places. I went to primary in Richmond Road in Grey Lynn, and then after that I moved to Wellington and I spent a couple of years there. I went to a private school called Queen Margaret College, and then I moved to another school there called Wellington East, and then after that we came here and I went to AGS, and then I went to King's College, and then finished off at Auckland Uni. Yeah, so I definitely call South Auckland home. I was born in Middlemore. My mother worked in Middlemore Hospital for like a really long time and still works at Middlemore Hospital. So yes, that's what I call home. And of course, like Samoa is my, ethnic background. Yeah.
No, it's not.
I've never heard of that.
You never heard of that?
No.
I didn't
The
know
white
it was-
bedsheet
I didn't know
test.
it was
The white bedsheet test.
So if you like, the thing is if she bleeds, then she's like
Then she's a virgin.
she's untouched and pure. And if she's
Pure
not,
girl.
then she's a dirty girl.
Really?
Shouldn't marry her. Send her back to the streets.
So what, it's like before the...
It's on the night of
wedding
the, and then like people like watch you.
Yeah, so like your
Yeah,
aunties
I think
or
your like
something.
nana or
It's a
something
Tongan
watches
thing.
you.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Tongan, it's
not
very
a
much
Tongan thing,
invasion
but
of
Tongans
privacy.
practice it.
Are you serious? So
Yeah.
like, you do it in front of like your
Yeah, they'll
auntie?
wait outside and they'll come and check your
Oh,
bedsheet
you mean,
after.
oh, so they're not standing there watching?
No, they're not.
No.
Actually, I don't know. I just
gosh.
chucked that out there.
No, everything, no.
And I was like, sorry, Mama. Yo, like, they don't turn around, man. Oh my days.
No, I think it's quite it's a colonial view of virginity. That's something they brought over with missionaries and stuff, and so it was something that was enforced in Pacific cultures, especially Tongan cultures. That's something we see still practiced to today, and it's outdated. It's disgusting. Really?
No way. Okay, let's go first with the yeses. So my mum like sat me down and she like pulled out this book and she was like, okay, well when like a man and a woman, you know, connect, this happens and then it goes there and then it does this and blah 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 and then that's how babies are made. She had a human anatomy book and she whipped it out and I was like, oh, here we fucking go. And then she was like, you know, she's very good. And then she said it was my responsibility then to give the talk to my sister. So I had to give the talk to my sister. Yeah.
I never had the conversation period.
At all?
At all. Because when you had to do like the sex ed, health ed classes and stuff, my permission slip was never signed.
Really?
And that's because, you know, we're coming up through church like that. Whole thing is you always save yourself till marriage and you always like it's about respecting not only yourself but the girls as well and that you want to have that special moment with them when you're married. So it was never a conversation period and like I don't hate my parents for it. I think at the same time they're devout in their faith and it's what they wanted for us as well. So
Yeah, my parents kind of just assumed I already knew about it, so they just never talked to me about it. Yeah, so similar.
Both of you, Pasifika's kids.
Pasifika's kids.
what a cool conversation we're having today.
Yeah, but yeah, I think my parents just assumed because we were talking about it at school, I would just immediately know about it. There's no point having a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, similar along the same line, but yeah, I guess we do have a religious household. But like, yeah, I guess that topic was like not frowned upon. It was just like it was there, but not really there.
Yeah.
But, I think the only time like my dad or mom said the word sex to me was like when I was late to my wedding. Yeah, they're like, oh no, you can finally have sex, son.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Finally.
I was just like, yeah. This is gonna be the first time, mom and dad.
Oh, so sorry.
Obviously, like being Pacific Island, like we grew up kind of in the church, so like I guess a lot of that whakaaro, I guess, doesn't really get spoken much. I guess in saying that, no, I didn't get the talk. But in saying that, like shout out to like Dom and Pati like for like having progressive families, because I want to be like to my son.
Nice.
Like, I want to be like, hey man,
This happens.
it happened.
It is what it is, you know?
You're gonna feel things.
But like it wasn't just sex though.
No, like
It was like when you're watching
Periods.
TV and like there's a kissing scene, bro. You're like,
Oh, true. eh?
it's not just. It's
Never
Like,
liked
that's
that
why
for
you
me.
well, you go like this and then you put this hand here and then it's like that. But it's just.
Then now you're there like oh, bro, listening to you guys, I'm like, oh my god, you guys are so like I just realized, I'm like, oh my god, my family is like so chill. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'll tell the story about how I told my mom. It's not really a story. I was just drunk and I just, Mom, I'm not a virgin. She just did this one day. She was like, but it's my grandma,
Right.
because I stay with my nana. And like, because our family's like really open about everything, you know, sort of thing. It was random as we're just in the car, just in the car driving. And this is the time where I brought a chick over to the house. Like, I didn't tell her it's my girlfriend because I was like, oh, surely she knows. Like, she keeps on coming over, you know. And then we were just in the car one time, just me and my nana, we were driving, and then all of a sudden my nana's like, so Tom, you know, it's always good, you know, have friends, different friends, you know. But maybe just, okay, have fun, but don't have a kids, okay?
Don't have kids.
Don't have a kids. And that's the closest I saw, but that was the talk that I had. So pretty much I got out of it and I was like, okay, so it's all good to have sex, just don't have kids.
Stop.
Say,
Double up.
yo,
Double up.
double, brother. Oh, where's the banana?
I don't think you really can have it until you have a discussion around the purity rhetoric and like around women's bodies. That's the only time, like that's the only place, me personally, I believe that you can start being able to like unpack those conversations that you have with your parents. Like even my parents, like they did a good job of giving me the talk, but then in the same breath, my dad was also like, but young people shouldn't be having sex. You know, or like specifically like young women shouldn't be having sex, you know? I'm like,
Very much along the same line, but also like non-sexual discussions of consent. Like something as small as that could probably, you know, like lead on later on to like being able to discuss sex openly when you start off with like consent as something basic. You know,
Yeah,
like a
and-
hug. Like, no, I don't want to be hugged.
yeah. Like even when you're really little, you know, we like force kids to like hug people they don't want to hug. And so like why, and then we expect them to like grow up and then understand like consent. It doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't even have to be like in a sexual context.
Yeah.
You just tell people like, you don't want to be touched by people, you don't have to tolerate it, you know?
I think it's really important to also really educate boys.
Yeah.
Educate boys.
I think it's also changing. The times are changing.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my dad only 2 weeks about this, and he's like, you know, things are starting to change now, and we can't keep hiding behind the whole word tapu and using that as our Pasifika young people are being affected a lot. You see a lot more young parents, young mothers, young fathers, and maybe we need to change it. Like you guys said, it's the conversation changes about having healthy relationships, respecting boundaries, respecting like males of females, females of males, and that's where we can start having that conversation that will then eventually lead to you know, the sexual, like talking about sex. But as long as we understand those positive relationships, like those boundaries, consent, all that kind of stuff, you can't hug me, you can't hug you, then that segues into those topics of conversation.
Show thumbs.
Yep.
Was it good though?
No.
So there was
What school did you go to?
I went to Auckland Boys.
And they did.
Grammar.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's appalling.
Auckland boys.
Oh no, because like the whole consent,
Okay.
and then like I'm not gonna go and be like to the nurse, I want to talk about sex and stuff, because like, in my head I'm like, if my parents find out, then I'm in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily go out and look for it.
Like, yeah, we had access to it, but it was a Catholic school. It was very much
Yeah.
like, you should, especially because it's an all-girls Catholic school.
Yeah.
They were like, you shouldn't be doing that, you know? They were open to talking about it, but like, anything like providing us with stuff like that, it was very much like, maybe you should go talk to your parents first and then come back.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, and who wants to go to their parents and talk to them about stuff like that?
Like having people to be there on social media to educate, because you know when people aren't comfortable to go and ask their own parents about it, or if parents aren't comfortable enough to talk to their own kids about it, and you know the youth is all on social media now, so just having that safe space, people who are like them
Yeah.
in that space, like what's it called, the giraffe. Harold.
Oh my God, Harold!
But yeah, you know, just having something like Giraffe.
Yeah, like Harold.
Just to be there, to be like, hey kids, remember, wear a condom.
Wow!
That's what you're gonna do.
Wow!
Yeah, I'll
not
be
a giraffe. What are you using?
I'm gonna use.
Oh!
That's alright, your tongue and touch. So yeah. Mallory Lee and welcome. Pasifika 611 Talanoa. Tonight we're on here in Tangata Pasifika with our guest here. Koko hingoa go sione pulu. Today
Oh my God!
Okay, we're not bringing us
today,
Next question.
you know, there's a lot of youth here who don't really understand the sexual health, mental wealth. But that's why we're going to be able to open up in Talanoa and talk about sexual health.
You're really good at that.
Can we everyone clap for Tom, please?
Wow! Look at you! Look at you!
Just give me the questions. Nah, just try. Just try.
He's really good at that. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, anyways.
Like, add on to what Dom said, like, yeah, the more awareness in our Pasifika communities, especially from people that resemble our complexion. But like, you know, like if the All Blacks were the All Blacks. Like,
If they spoke about sex,
like-
boys would be so much
they would
happier.
like gays, they'd be like, oh yeah. If Rico, oh my gosh, no, I don't know, use a condom.
Exactly that.
I'm like,
There's
you know,
Maununu branded condoms.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna.
oh my god. It's got a dreadlock. It's got a dreadlock feel to it. Oh no.
What did you use? I used the muff.
Anyways,
Use a mic.
use the ma'a, use the makoa, use the kara.
I think it's just because of that whole taboo.
Yeah.
It's slowly changing. It's evolving. You know, especially with young people like us starting to talk more about it. Especially with us sharing stats of, you know, how many STIs are coming out, how many young parents there are. The increase of young parents.
I don't think it's taught enough in any of the communities I'm involved in. The amount of people I know that have been, sorry, trigger warning for anybody, sexually abused is insane. Like, and sometimes they don't even know that they've been through that until it dawns on them later and they're like, oh shit, you know? Yeah, so I don't think it's been taught enough to the extent where people understand their own sexual experiences. Yeah.
This might be like a controversial take, but we have to, for me personally, I think that you have to like separate religion from people's bodies. Like it's one thing to believe in a faith or to believe in a set of values and you know, a belief system, but I feel like what's happened is we've let that dictate how we talk to people and how we treat people, people's bodies, you know, like it dominates like our thinking about how we think about women a lot, like in terms of like, again, like the purity conversation, which is not healthy for women or men. If women and men are on opposite ends of the spectrum and a woman is pure, then what does that make? A man, you know? If we could separate belief systems and good and bad especially from things like sex, which is a human act, you know, I think we'd probably think a lot differently about how we talk about it.
Us as Pasifika, because of how important church, religion, faith is to you. So by you asking to remove that and treat each person as their own person, but like not have their faith or anything involved, because like essentially that's what the church is trying to teach you in a way, that like you about respecting your body and respecting the bodies of like of the woman as well. Like the teachings and stuff are there, and in a way sometimes the church believe that, you know, you don't really need contraception because you're waiting until you're married. But I think what we need to start doing now is just changing that conversation, because and churches need to be prepared to have those conversations. Because our young people are being affected every day. Like, you know, they if they're not gonna get it from the church, where we as Pasifika say that's our safe space, that where we can come have these conversations, then we're, in a way, we're letting down our people, our young brothers and sisters having babies at young ages. They're still in the church, but they're kind of in their own bubble. You know, we got to change that mindset to be able to have those conversations there. So, because we always say, you know, church is who we are, faith is who we are, all of this, but the conversation now needs to start changing, and now's the perfect time to have those conversations, because we're in a different space now. It's not the same as we were like 10, 20 years ago, but we're now, things are evolving so quickly that we need to evolve with it, or else we'll all get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if like that's the right space though. You know, like
maybe it's
a
not
space that's like so heavily, it places a lot of like moral weight on who you are and like sex, which it's like there's a lot of like good versus bad. I feel like when you start doing good versus bad when it comes to sex, people feel that way about their bodies, and then that's when like stuff like I don't want to go that far, but you know what I mean, like that's when stuff like, you know, abuse happens, and then they sweep things under the rug, and like, you know, so I see where you're coming from. I definitely see where you're coming from. We need to find a way to have that conversation without making it a moral thing, you know, like we need to have that conversation without making it like you're not good and you're not bad on either side because you have or haven't, you know, had sex.
I think we also need to place some responsibility on those that our communities celebrate, or those that our communities idolize, like that whole Jared Hayne situation. A lot of that kind of came out as, instead of actual discussion on what happened, it lashed out at other victims, like actual victims. Not saying that they're not actual victims, because I don't know the narrative behind that, but I saw a lot of harmful discussion from boys, like other Pacific boys, towards other Pacific women. It was really, it was really something to like. I felt like that needed to be touched on.
Like some of our boys, some of our young brown boys, like some of the behavioural acts they go on. That's what.
It's
normalised, especially in the rugby culture.
Rugby
culture,
I see
and
where
like
you're
that's
going.
our bread and butter for us brown boys. Like, from a young age, being brown, brought up in South Auckland, it's sort of like when you grow up, right? You start playing rugby at 5. You start making rugby teams at 12. Then you go on to represent your town, your city, and hopefully your country. Along the lines, a lot of our brown boys get caught up in their culture. It's really normalized, like, to look at that a lot of these boys that we see on TV do run trains on girls in these private spaces, and these girls, you know, they look at it, our young girls, they look at it from a perspective of, oh, I was just with da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da, and they play for da-da-da-da-da. But when you actually step back for a moment, like, holy hell, like, that was not consensual. What just occurred there, like you think about it, for our young brown boys that come up, being brought up in the church, still young, and going through high school, and then they go through like that sport. Like we glorify rugby, right? To make it into a rugby rep teams, and then they get to that, and then the drinking starts. And the drug abuse starts. You know, just touching up here and there. and then the culture of how we treat our women, especially of our skin color. Like, it's almost like everything we've learned in the church or upbringing like almost goes out the window. I'm sure like there's been times where they've had to second guess themselves, but like, you know, come on boys, come on man, come on, we just won.
Yeah.
We just won. Come on, let's celebrate. But then to actually step back and think about like what occurred in those private spaces was not really right.